Super Speedway is usually the track that comes to mind when people think of the world's fastest paperclip. Well, move over to the small half mile in Virginia. There's a new fastest paperclip on the circuit. Its name is the iRacing Super Speedway, and we are here today for the first time in iRacing Stock Car Association history for the iRacing 180 round number 3 in the 2021 iRacing Stock Car Association ButtKicker Cup Series season number 2. I'm Miller Repo with Al Kozlowski joining me down in the booth today and reportedly going to potentially be on the track as well. So we come over to this 3-mile Super Speedway, the longest and fastest track we have on the calendar. No doubt going to be a pretty hectic race today here, Al.
Yeah, it certainly is, Nolan. We've got a qualifying glitch here. Looks like everybody's going to qualify together here. The thing the most important at this track is the lead. If you have the lead, you pretty much are king here. You can regulate how the race goes and how to control it. Not saying that you can't be in second or third place and not slingshot around and get the lead, but the lead is very important. So a lot of these guys are going to try to wait it out and run with some other guys and try to get the pole here because they want that lead.
Minutes, everybody is qualifying together. So what two cars we should probably look back for then are Paul Olson and Chris Johnson just now heading into turns 3 and 4. Chris Johnson is going to look around the inside as Olson moves up to let him have it. You definitely want to have that draft, and they are going to be pretty much side drafting down the front straightaway here, so that's not going to be terribly well for them. Olson is going to slot in line, and he will try to get that slingshot run all the way down the long front straightaway.
Yeah, this is a pretty rough track as far as the corners go here, Nolan. You'll notice a lot of guys are going to get squirrely as the temperatures increase with the track, and also as the fuel decreases, they're going to get a little bit sloppy here. We don't really have to worry about much of a setup. I mean, anybody can run any setup they want here, and they'll be just fine, because this is kind of a basic track. I mean, you really don't have to drive it too well or too hard. It's not like Daytona or Talladega. You don't really have to maneuver. It's kind of a fairly easy track.
It's one of those tracks where we could very easily see some people kind of get into a little bit of trouble here later on. Al Kozlowski, top of the timing boards, but not by much. Just 1/1000 of a second separated him and Greg Wyszynski. As I say that, Brian Johnson tops the boards half a tenth quicker. And that was a lap run solo as well.
Yeah, that's you've got to get that thing right. If you don't have it right, you're going to be messed up. Some of these guys are drafting, but if they're running 100% tape, they can't draft for long. They'll certainly blow up. So we're probably watching guys out there that are drafting, trying to get the fastest lap. They've got their tape dialed back to about 50, 60%. And that's not going to get them. Oh, Lord. Yeah, coming off pit road, you can get squirrely as well.
And Al Kozlowski takes a trip through the grass in the bottom of turn number 2. Like you said, it is a very, very flat pit road here. Very much unlike the actual track itself. The track itself, I believe, banked about, looks to be maybe 20 degrees down the straights, as high as potentially 40 in the turns. This is now the highest banked track we have on the iRacing service. That means if we see a car clip the apron, it is going to just tear up the machine because of how violent the transitioning is. No incremental banking here.
I've got, oh man, this is really rough getting off pit road here. I got Brian Johnson, who is on the pole right now. What he's trying to do behind me is he's going to try to draft off of me. And with this team effort here on qualifying, I can pretty much blow Brian up if I wanted to by just staying on his front end and making his car overheat.
The way these cars really work is if you haven't even at the tallest gear ratio, we have seen in some of the open sessions people running pretty close to just blowing up as well, just for redlining all the way down the straightaway. So that's going to be something to look out for as well. 20 seconds left on the clock here, so that out will be your last lap, and unfortunately, only good enough for second.
Well, that's exactly where I need to start. You'll notice on the outside line where I'm going to start at here, it's not the best favorable position for most drivers, but I tend to like that because if I catch a good a good draft, I can slingshot around and take the lead. And like I said before, the lead is the most important here. If you can get the lead in this race, you're a king.
Well, change of plans. It looks like, unlike the last time we had open qualifying, you will be able to complete that next lap here. So that's going to be the big ticket question. Right now, Al, you are the only driver that is being timed out there on the course. So you're going to come across the line here. A 44.561. Al Kozlowski, top of the timing boards. And, Brian Johnson beats you back.
Brian was riding behind me. He caught that backdraft. So I pulled him. Yeah, I pulled him along. So we're still going to be 1 and 2. Now the problem is Brian Johnson doesn't have a lot of laps on this track. I've been running this track all week, and I've kind of got some little tricks that we're going to explain to you during the broadcast here. That's going to show you why it doesn't really matter if you're a leader or not. You can be overtaken.
Just one place you really don't want to be early on here. But for now, we are going to take a quick step away and let's take a listen in on the national anthem.
Drivers, start your engines!
The national anthem has been sung, and we are about ready to get things underway. So let's take a rundown through your starting grid. Brian Johnson starts on the pole. Al Kozlowski just to his outside in row number 1. Row 2 holds Greg Wyszynski and Chris Johnson. Gilgalk and Craig Johnson in row number 3 with Paul Olsen and Wayne Rossi. Row number 4, rounding out the 9-car field tonight. Not setting the qualifying lap is going to be Kenny Powell. So, wow, on the back straightaway for the first and only time here at the Super Speedway behind the pace car, hopefully. What are some of the things you reckon we can look for as we get ready to kick off this 180-mile race?
Well, what we're going to watch for is these guys that haven't raced this track, they're going to try to bump draft, and that's going to cause havoc. We've only got a very small field, and if we lose 6 of these cars, it's going to be a sprint for 3 cars. Now, the draft is extremely important here, and what you can watch on these straightaways is, I'll show you what I'll do, is I'll drop back about 0.3 of a second from the car in front of me, and that's going to give me enough momentum to slingshot me coming out of the turn to go around them. And then if they're good and I watch them, I can draft down, like I draft down to Brian right there, and I catch his draft, and I can slingshot around him. So watch this during the race. We'll take a couple laps here, and you'll be able to see how we're going to be able to get to the lead. We will be leading this thing here shortly.
Off of turn number 4, the pace car pulls into pit road in the hands of Brian Johnson down the very long, I want to say about 1 mile long front straightaway right at the halfway point. Green flag drops. Brian Johnson kicks off the field. We're off and away. Al gets a great launch, though, on the outside line. Already, the 2 cars trying to pinch each other in as Kenny Powell in the back drops back, trying to get some space between himself and the other cars in front. For now, though, still clean as we thunder down into turn number 1 for the first time today.
So as you watch, Greg Wyszynski, the 2 cars on the inside of me there, and I kind of drift down a little bit to catch some of his draft here, and that gives me the ability to go around him. But he's got a, whoa, that 85 car is everywhere. I don't understand him.
Gil Gog on the front straightaway again, and not sure if it's the same for you. No engine hood on what I'm seeing here, but I very well could just be experiencing a visual glitch on my end. Single filed out now through the entire top end of the field as, well, check that. Al's going to go to the high side, try to make that outside line work and force the issue. Greg Wyszynski also moves up, maybe to try to give out a little bit of help here, so we'll have to see. It will be a bump trap between the 00 and that number 2 car. And all the way through to the front of the field. The attempt is made, but it stalls out in turn number 3. The corners are just so tight at this track that you really cannot make the outside line work too well. But they're also so incredibly powerful that the outside line can get a massive run like what we see at Daytona and Talladega off of these corners because they are so high banked. You still run through them with your foot pinned to the floor.
Yeah, you can see as I took third back, and that's because you really don't want a bump draft here, but I had to give Greg Wyszynski a little bit of a bump there to get him around. That's 85 of Gil. I kind of was concerned on the way he was holding his corners, and that, oh, we got one on the apron down there behind us.
Yeah, that was Paul Olson, decided to drop out of line and gets up back in front and nearly tags Wayne Grossi on turn number 3. Almost cleans that 7 car out, but they managed to survive it. Grossi and Olsen, though, have both lost a huge amount of time to the cars in front, and I'm honestly willing to bet they might have just lost the draft to these front runners as well. Over a second separated Johnson from Grossi. So those 2 cars in the background, they're now in some serious trouble.
See, I'm using a draft from Kenny Powell right here, and I'll stay up here and get Kenny's draft. And this should give me enough momentum to get around the 4 car and take the lead.
It'll be tight here as you're trying to make your run there around the outside line. Still side by side with Wyszynski. Can he get the run off of the corner, though? That's going to be the big ticket question. So close off of turn number 4. And down to the front straightaway we go. Crossing over now onto lap number 5. Brian Johnson still in the lead, has led every lap so far this race, and is still showing no signs of faltering.
Yeah, this draft is a magical thing here, and if you got it, you got it. But if you don't, you don't here. And you got to have a drafting partner on this outside line. And I'm kind of worried what Craig Johnson's doing underneath me here. I'm gonna try to see if Kenny will make this thing work, and we'll try it one more time. You don't want to draft down. See, you watch Craig Johnson here as he bobbles up. You know, you don't want that to happen to you.
No, absolutely not. That would not quite be what you'd want to see happen. So, luckily, though, it does seem like things are going to be pretty steady here for the most part. I think this is one of those races where we can expect to see a good portion of the race run through clean just because of how difficult it can be sometimes to pass here.
Well, it's not too difficult, Nolan, if you have a good drafting partner. God bless.
As we say that, Gil Gog slides up in turn number 3 and nearly body slams the 00 up the racetrack. Al took evasive action, was able to survive it. And Kenny Powell also took evasive action just behind, so that caused a bit of a shuffle. But so far, things are still running completely green on the circuit. Wow, we got a little bit of just single file running here. Why don't we take a little bit of a run here through the point standings for the top few? Well, we'll just run through the entirety of the point standings for the current Cup Series season number 2 of 2021. Clayton Hoffman is currently in the points lead with 91 points. He, though, is not present at today's race, so he will be losing that points lead here very, very shortly. Chris Johnson will likely inherit the points lead because he is right front. I say that, though, Brian Johnson is only 1 point back in 3rd position coming into today's race. Wayne Grossi is 4 points back with Kenny Powell rounding up the top 5 with 75 points. Craig Johnson is in 6th place with 71 points. Paul Olsen, Randy Drumhiller tied for 7th and 8th at 70 points. Greg Wyszynski rounds out the drivers that have run more than once in the season with 68 points. Only 9 cars had showed up for the last race at Bristol Dirt. So the remaining drivers, they're going to be significantly further down the order. Well, because they didn't show up for race number 2, only in the first race at Atlanta Speedway. Chris Severa rounds out the top 10 of the points with Jeff Shutt, Matthew Cisda, Gil Gach, and Eric Kling rounding out the remaining races. So Gil Gach is making an appearance here today, so he will be leapfrogging at least 4 spots in this race. It's a 5-car breakaway out in front. Kenny Powell and Craig Johnson are kind of lost touch to the lead up in front. Wayne Grossi and Paul Olsen are still linked up and trying to find some speed, but they're going to have to hope for a caution before they can get themselves back into contention. Now, you're the one that's running out there, Al. Let's talk about fuel windows for a little bit. Do you reckon we'll be seeing drivers coming down to pit road this race?
Yeah. Oh, I got
that's
that apron, boy. Apron, it'll get you. Yeah, we'll come down about 28 laps. You got to watch that apron on the corners there. It will tear you apart. And as you can see, I lost a lot of momentum there because of that apron. But I'll get it back here, and I'll draft back about 2/10, and I'll slingshot way up back where I was.
Seeing the race facts there up on your screen. Estimated fuel window, roughly 30 laps. So we'll be expecting to see these guys come on down right at the halfway point, assuming there is not a caution that comes out before that, of course.
And I'm going to try to take Chris Johnson to the front of this thing. Oh, I'm going to take and get back around him on the inside here. You see how I lost that draft, and it's going to give me the momentum to just push these guys way up in there.
The field really looking like a bit of a snake at the moment. You got 6 cars running with you. Kenny Powell has managed to reel back in. Craig Johnson, not so lucky. He is still well down the timing order, so very bad news for Craig Johnson if you wanted to have a good run today. Meanwhile, top 6 breakaway. So the running order as we finish the first 6 of the race looking to be Brian Johnson, Greg Wyszynski, Gil Gach, Al Kozlowski is in 4th place with Chris Johnson in 5th. Kenny Powell is in 6th, Craig Johnson 7th, Wayne Grossi 8th, Paul Olsen rounding out a 9-car field for today's 180-lap race at the iRacing Super Speedway. Kozlowski makes the move, and he's going to go up to 3rd now as he tries to get the run that he needs down this front straightaway, but it still is a massive Gil Gach.
Something different, man. What the heck is wrong with this guy? He's going to cause a wreck here. I guess I just got to maneuver my way up and just call it a day. Here we go.
Gach running aggressively, trying to get to the speed. Now Wyszynski moves to the top side of the racetrack. I think trying to get the run here on Brian Johnson. Maybe see if we can have our first lead change of the night. Coming to the conclusion here of lap number 12. Looking a bit squirrely further in the back of this train. And that's allowing Brian Johnson to actually pull a bigger gap over Greg Wyszynski as the other drivers do battle for the scraps just behind.
Yeah, the bottom line is drifting so much up. It doesn't give you the ability to race them like you should want to, you know?
Gil Gach made the decisive maneuver around Greg Wyszynski, nearly clipped him in the left rear quarter panel, but that will put Gach up to the 2nd position here in today's race. Still trying to run down race leader Brian Johnson. Look out for Powell.
Yeah, I don't know if I think there was some contact between me and Paul. I don't know. I'm going to get behind Greg Wyszynski, see if he wants to get up in the mix of this thing and party.
If there's contact between you and Powell, you definitely would have been spun around, and he probably would have gone with you.
Oh, Lord. Come on. Let's not take it 3 wide here.
Ah, you're fine. You're fine. It's just only 2 wide in some portions of the field. So it'll link up here with Wyszynski. Nearly wipe him out on the back bumper there as well. That is going to push you well past Gil Gach. Getting the big run here on Brian Johnson, who is a sitting duck, as Wyszynski now side by side with the number 4 cars, who turns numbers 3 and 4. for the 14th time today. Wachinski making sure to pinch him down to that yellow line. Get that side draft going to slow Johnson down. Now it'll be 3 wide down the front straightaway with Keselowski pinned up in the middle. Powell goes high right after the third place runner, Chris Johnson, made his way past as well. Looks like things are going to sort of settle out as Gil Gawk takes his way through. That is how quickly one car can shuffle from being at the front all the way to the back.
Wow, that's called lifting because you don't trust your guys in front of you. I got kind of squirrely, and these guys don't have a lot of time on this track to go 3 wide. And there is a lot of racing left here to be trying to race this thing. We're going to try to get Kenny Powell to the front here and see what he can do.
That 24 machine do. This is about as high up as he's been all season long, fighting for the second position with pole sitter Brian Johnson. This could be really crucial here for Kenny Powell and his position. The points! One car slides up for the apron. That was Gil Gawk that just clipped the apron and slid up about a lane and a half. That's the hazard of turning in even just half a tenth too early.
Yeah, that would really mess you up. It looks like Kenny Powell is clear up there for the lead. If he would just come down, he's not got cleared enough. And I'm kind of just watching these guys. In my heart, I want to take this thing 3 wide and cut up the middle, but I know what's going to happen if I do. They're bobbling all over in these corners, and it's not going to turn out well for me.
3 wide, or 2 wide, 3 rows deep in the field at the moment. Keselowski once again backs out, lets Gawk have the position. Chris Johnson dropping back, so is Kenny Powell. The outside line still not as strong in turns 1 and 2. I'm going to play meteorologist here for a little bit, and I'm going to say our weather over the Super Speedway here in Concord, Massachusetts, look to be 75 degrees Fahrenheit in the air with winds blowing northbound of about 2 miles an hour. Track is looking to be 98 degrees Fahrenheit down there on the racing surface. So what that tells me is that it is a pretty hot track there for a track like this down there on the oval.
Yeah, and that gets pretty slick, and that's why some of these guys are drifting up, I'm assuming, but I've got too much tape, and I know what happened. Too much tape on this car, so I'm kind of concerned with that right now. I'm going to let these guys go by and try not to blow up because we do have a lot of racing left here.
A lot of racing left indeed. You're running about 44, high 44 second laps here at the moment. Meaning we could very well see the conclusion of this race in just about 45 minutes, if that here, assuming this race goes green to the end. Even less than that, probably a little more than over half an hour here remaining in this race. Again, that's assuming it goes green, which could be a pretty big ask, knowing how aggressive some of these guys can be when it comes to the Super Speedway scene.
Greg Wachinski is pressing his luck by trying to go high there, and if he does that too often, Brian Johnson in that 4 car is going to stick his nose underneath him, and he'll have a choice of either spinning him or lifting.
Well, what Wachinski is trying to do is he's trying to get the arc into the corner so he doesn't lose as much speed overall onto the exit. And that's what he's really trying to do here. It's not quite working for him, though, because Brian Johnson is still inching ever closer to that back bumper. So this could get hairy here between the two of these guys if Brian Johnson can get much closer. Cross it over now.
If he's on that bumper, Nolan, and they're in that turn, he's going to take the air off the rear of Greg Wachinski's car, and Greg will go around, and that's going to take out the cars behind them. So it's got to be very cautious, and second place really has to be very courteous of a driver. Number one, he's got half the fuel. He's almost got about 8 laps left of fuel, so he's got a very light rear end right now, and he can easily spin him out. And that's going to take out a lot of cars, including myself, because I'm farthest back.
The conclusion of the first third of the race already complete. Let's take a quick commercial break here, and we will be right back.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing.
Get yours today at thebuttkicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
Brian Johnson has just eaten the wall in turn number 2. Caution flag out for the first time today. Big crash for Brian Johnson. Sees him out of the race early on. So the 4 car with troubles. This is great timing. It was a self-inflicted error as well, trying to go for the lead. Just clip that apron, and this is all it takes to send a car hard, pancaking into the outside wall.
And that could have came at a better time because I'm trying to do my adjustments in car here to figure out what I'm going to do. I'm going to say this, Nolan, on the air. I'm rolling back my tape, and I'm going back 5%. You know, I'm going from 40 to 35 and see if that keeps this thing cool because it was starting to heat up again. And just like the last race I was in, that didn't turn out too well for me.
What this has done is it has actually really saved Wayne Grossi, Craig Johnson, and Paul Olsen, because all 3 of those cars were running several seconds behind the leaders. And now they are right up there in the thick of things. So that is fantastic news for them as the field now catches the pace car on the back straightaway. So this could get hairy here on this restart, depending on how some people react to it, because your pole sitter, Ryan Johnson, the guy that most laps so far today, he's out of it.
Well, what this did, Nolan, is this kind of put a kind of a hiccup in the fuel mileage gain because we cannot make it to the end on a fuel run here. So we have to pit. And what I was going to do if we would have had a green flag pit stop is I was going to take fuel only and ride these tires out because inevitably there's going to be a caution coming out. But I was going to pit probably around lap 31. And now we're going to be pitting here at lap 25. And that's going to leave us probably about 3 laps short on fuel.
And that is going to make it extremely intense for the fuel strategy because drivers have really got to gauge this out. Do they decide to give up the draft, clutch and coast it to the end, or are they going to instead try to take the other strategy and pit again and just do a splash and dash? You'd have to be able to run down the cars, though, that are going to be staying out there clutch and coasting in order for that strategy to be, I want to say, viable. So it could be a very interesting run as to what people choose to do as we come around to the restart. We were kind of talking about this under the commercial break about how with 30 laps, it would be a fuel mileage race regardless, but even more so now.
So what I'll do, Nolan, is I'll come back out after getting 4 tires and a full tank of fuel, and I'll run one more lap, and I'll wait it out until we have a 1 to I believe Kenny Powell might have got a black flag for speeding up pit road.
Oh, really now? Well, let's just take a look-see here. What is the pit road speed limit here at this facility, Al?
65, but I thought he beat me out, but it's telling me to pass him.
65 miles an hour? Well, he was doing 65 all the way down.
Beat him out because of my pit stall. I beat him across the line.
Likely.
Well, the craziest thing is I'm going to start on the inside here again, and I'm not going to have a chance to do what I wanted to do, which was pit again for fuel. It's not going to make a big difference. I'm going to get like a 3/4 of a lap of fuel if I go in and pit and fill up again here. So I'm just going to roll this out and see how it plays.
That sounds fair enough to me. So the field started to catch the tail of the pace car here. When things cycle out, we'll give you another rundown of the order here just to make sure that we got our notes right here and that everything is correct there on the screens. Tell you what, this has been one entertaining race so far, though. I mean, it's non-stop action from here on out. Lights are on the pace car, so let's take a quick rundown through your order. Greg Wyszynski is your current race leader. Chris Johnson is in second place, with Al Kozlowski lining up in third. Kenny Powell will be in fourth. Glenn Grossi is fifth. Craig Johnson sixth. Paul Olsen in seventh. Gil Gog is in eighth. Brian Johnson still sitting in pit road. I'm pretty sure he will be taking that car to the hauler here very, very shortly for the number 4 car. Down to 8 machines as we close in on the halfway point, just 4.5 laps from now.
Well, this is not very good for these guys in front of me because on a short run, I've got a very fast hot rod. So if I can get in front of Chris Johnson in that 48 machine, I will definitely go around the outside of Craig Wyszynski and take the lead of this thing.
Long pace lap here, about 2 minutes total for the whole thing. That's about as long as it takes, well, just under what it takes to get a NASCAR car around the Daytona International Speedway road course.
Yeah, these corners are extremely violent, as you just seen with Brian Johnson there. You get underneath that, you see that black line right in the corner there, right above the yellow line. If you get below that black seam in the track, you can tear up your front valance and it'll pull your car around.
Off of turn number 4, we're about to hit that green flag once more. The pace car is off. Greg Wyszynski is away and into the lead of the race. It's a much better jump for Wyszynski, but with that draft, you do not want to be that far out in front, so he can have some trouble here. As Al Kozlowski with the better run off of the jump than Chris Johnson, trying to run down that number 2 car for the race lead.
Yeah, he is way too far in front of me to be up there. He's going to end up in a lot of trouble, which he's trying to grab that high line and get the draft, which is extremely smart of Greg Wyszynski to do that. As that's going to give a chance for Chris to get into the lead here and leave Craig Wyszynski out high and dry.
And so Chris Johnson becomes, I believe, the 4th or 5th different leader of the night. That 48 car still looking strong, running that bottom side of the racetrack as 3 laps to go until the halfway point. Now that leaves you, Al, in second.
Yeah, I need a good draft here. And I will take that lead here. You got to watch that yellow line coming off the turn, Nolan. If you get in there, you can get really squirrely.
Absolutely. It's one of the only places where you really do not want to find yourself. So we're going to have to really keep an eye out for that, because that was what caused the first crash and might cause the second here. Kenny Powell washes way up the track. Nearly cleans out Craig Johnson just behind him. We should probably get another look at that if we can, because Kenny Powell just had, I believe, the close call of the night, with Craig Johnson just barely managing to avoid him as he chased him up the track.
I'm going to get really close to Chris here. I'm going to try to do a run on him. The only thing I don't want, Nolan, is I do not want third car to get right on my bumper, and he'll push me up the track, and we'll have a big problem here.
6-car breakaway for the lead. Might become a 3-car breakaway, though, as the bottom 3 cars in that train all kind of get a little bit hairy here at the same time, as Craig Johnson punched his way past Greg Wyszynski. Was not able to get the run on Paul Olsen, though, but all 3 cars got a little bit unsettled on the exit of turn number 4. Olsen is starting to reel himself back in, but for Wyszynski and Johnson, not so much. They're still continuing to kind of drop further down the order. So 6-car train heading up what is now an 8-car field here today. It'll be halfway at the line this time by.
I've got to dip up a little bit. I'm trying to take the draft off of Chris to kind of pull him back. And yeah, he keeps moving up. He knows what I'm trying to pull on him.
Chris Johnson weaving left and right, trying to break that draft. The 48 car has been doing a phenomenal job of managing to hang on to the lead so far, and now you were worried about having to interview yourself. If you keep this up, that's exactly what you're going to find yourself doing.
Yeah, I will. Now that I know he's driving out of his rearview mirror, I can kind of get him squirrely here, let himself get squirrely.
Wojcinski gets a bit tight with Paul Olsen just behind these guys, but they have managed to recover in nicely. No real dramas between the two of them, but that puts Olsen and Johnson side by side for the 4th position on the racetrack, and that is going to allow Olsen to kind of get the run here as Johnson decides to back off at the 83 car to just slot himself back in line. So that makes it once again a 3-car breakaway, but it also means Paul Olsen is going to have a significant run here on Wayne Grossi in 3rd.
Yeah, and you don't want that. Paul Olsen is sitting in a perfect position right now with 5/10 behind Wayne Grossi, and if he gets a good enough draft from Craig Johnson, they can slingshot around him and leave him in the dust here.
What Olsen is going to try to do here, right back up on his back bumper here off turn number 4. Under 30 laps remaining. Now, here's the big ticket question here again, Al. We mentioned before the break, we mentioned before the race restarted, that you guys do not have enough fuel to make it through to the end. So when do you come in and pit? Do you come in and pit, or do you try to back off and let your clutch and coasting do the work?
Well, that's what I'm doing right now with Chris here. I'm letting him pull me around the track to save a couple laps here. It's not working too well because Wayne is right on my tail, and I've got to keep a distance between me and him, otherwise he'll spin me. The person that's using the most fuel is a leader of this race, and that is Chris Johnson. So that's pretty much the reason why it's not smart to be in the lead of this right now.
Chris Johnson, well, there's nothing he can really do about it because it's one of those things where you want to lead the most laps, yes, but he knows that he's using the most fuel out there. He's got to know that he's using the most fuel out of anybody there. That's probably why nobody's really trying to pass him for the lead. There's no need to at the moment because at this rate he's going, he's not going to be able to make it to the end.
He's definitely not going to make it to the end. I may, depending on how this race looks, I may pit right around lap 45 for fuel and just ride it to the end. The problem is you want to pit with people. You know, you want to pit with another driver so you're not drafted way out, because as you notice, the lap times we're turning are in the 43s, 43, very, very low 44s. And by yourself, you're running about 45, 46. So you're 2 seconds slower.
Well, to just for comparison, last time as well, I'm going to change my mind on that. Chris Johnson gives up the lead. Al Kozlowski will go to the point here for the iRacing 180 at iRacing Super Speedway. Al Kozlowski, new race leader for the first time all season. The 00 car finds himself out in front as Chris Johnson fades all the way to the back of the field and slots back in line right behind there with, I believe that's Kenny Powell just running, check that, with Craig Johnson just running in the back. Now, to put it out for instance again, on lap 34, Wayne Grossi ran a 43.875. We take a look back at Kenny Powell, a 45.234 for Powell, and even slower for Gawk at a 46.424. So that just shows you just how slow these guys are running here. It is, when they're on their own, that is. It's significantly slower, so you got to have that drafting help, or you got to hope the other guys in front will be clutching coasting near the end.
Well, I think Chris, what he did is he realized that he is using up way too much fuel, and he purposely gave the lead away. You can't win a race if you don't finish it, you know? So it's a smart move on his behalf, and I'm probably going to do the same thing. I'm going to let Wayne Grossi, I'll lead about 10 laps, and then I'll give it up to Wayne Grossi.
So we're in the big case here of you go in front. No, you go in front. I insist. And it's going to be, it may as well become the Canadian League at that point, because you guys are just going to be so polite with each other, letting each other through to take the race lead, allowing the other drivers behind to save fuel. it is going to be interesting to see how that will play into the factor of how this race could pan out if people decide not to come in and pit.
Well, I could race like a, so you notice I'm riding that yellow line, and what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get Wayne Grossi to fall for it and bait him into hitting that yellow line and spinning out. Because I can control it in that yellow line because I'm the leader. Second place has got my draft, and he doesn't have as much front end control. Which is kind of a crappy way to race, I guess, but
that's how you race this place. What can you say? Same situation with Daytona and Talladega, for that matter. And that kind of creates this whole snake event that we see. Like, the leader can almost be perfectly straight, but in second place, they'll clip that line and step on just a little bit more. Third place steps on a little bit more, and fourth and fifth, and so on and so forth. As we saw in the back, Chris Johnson just kind of scraped the line there a few seconds ago as well. So it's one of those really unique factors of you got to really time it carefully. You have to make sure that you're extremely cautious here. Lap 39, though, about to come to the end here of the second third of the race. Let's take another quick step away, and we will be right back.
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Get yours today at thebuttkicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
Still running green for the second green flag sprint all day long. Coming to 19 laps to go this time by. Let's take a run through the running order here real quickly. Al Koslowski is up in front. Wayne Grossi sits in second. Paul Olsen rounds out the podium. Rebuczynski sits fourth. Craig Johnson and Chris Johnson round out the six-car train running in the lead. Kenny Powell is seventh, with Gil Gog running on their own as well in eighth. Brian Johnson, 17 laps down, still sitting in the pits. It is a DNF for your pole sitter, who caught up in a crash, single car of his own fault. That will put him out of the race early on before halfway. You're mentioning now you were one lap shy. This means Grossi behind you could be one to the good, in fact, because he's been saving this entire time. You've been burning quite a bit of fuel running up there in front. So what's the general consensus here on how the fuel strategy might play out for the guys that have been running in the draft this entire time? Are they safe?
oh yeah, they're going to be safe. I'm going to have to make a decision here, probably in about 2 laps, whether I want to just give this up and let these guys fight behind me for the lead. That's when they're going to eat their fuel up. I'm going to have to pit. There's no doubt about it. I don't not have enough fuel to make it to the end.
The question is, if you have to pit, what kind of a situation does that put Chris Johnson in? Because he was also running up in the lead longer than you were. So that means surely he also is going to have to pit. So you might have yourself a drafting partner there.
Yeah, very well could have, but 2 cars is not going to be competitive against 4 cars. I do believe these guys are going to be pitting here shortly if they are afraid of not making it to the end. But I do believe that a good majority of this field should make it to the end of this race.
15 minutes remaining in this race. It has been a good one so far. A bit of passing here considering there's only 9 cars and only 6 of them running at the top field here. I believe as well, we've actually got ourselves a good, decent lead changes too. I would say we've probably gotten about 6 or 7 lead changes here over 5 different drivers over the course of the night. Al moves up. Wayne Grossi is going to say thank you very much, sweep through and take the lead.
Yeah, there's nothing I can do. Me pitting from the lead right there is going to be dangerous. So now I need to back off and try to save and save my race until the end here.
There you go, 5 different lead changes over the course of the night. Coming to the end here of the third quarter as well in this race. It'll be 15 laps to go, just 25% race distance remaining next time by at the line. So Wayne Grossi leads his first laps all night. And he is up 7 positions as well from where he started. Didn't set a qualifying lap. Started 8th place. He's up in the lead. Goes to show, really does not matter where you qualify at a track like this.
Well, my money is going to be on that car that's in second place right now, Paul Olson. He's been running competitively strong all week. I've ran several races with Paul, and he knows how to get this thing done here. Him or Greg will be battling for the win here and taking it away from Wayne.
Coming through 3 and 4. If you come down to pit with the field, when does the field come down to pit? We've established already that 2 cars in this grid are not safe, those being Chris Johnson and Al Kozlowski. The problem is the other 4 cars, potentially not so much, but now Grossi is the one burning fuel, so will Grossi be good to run out there in front until the end of the race here, or will he have to come in as well at this rate?
Well, if my money's on Greg Johnson or Greg Wychinski, that's what I'm watching him just save his fuel. Also, Craig Johnson, he's also been saving his fuel as a backup a lot here. I don't know what Paul's doing, if he's trying to save fuel or if he's trying to get a run here. They're trying to save fuel because they know they're probably about a half a lap shy.
So when does bumping start? Because you know there's got to be a bump trap coming here soon, some way or somehow. I have noticed Paul Olson backed off by quite a bit down the front straightaway to let Wayne Grossi kind of get a better run on him here. So that could be interesting here. So we could potentially see another lead swap here in just a few seconds.
And I am going to pit this time by. I don't think I can make it to the end. I definitely know some of these guys are going to have a problem, but I'm going to pit. And here's where it gets tricky. This is a green flag pit stop.
Clattering onto the transitioning there. Makes that commitment line down for the speed zone, and looks like you were safe there into the speed zone. So Al Kozlowski in for green flag pit stops, the first and potentially the only one we've seen all day. That's actually really disrupted the back 2 cars of Craig Johnson and Chris Johnson, because now they are significantly further back by about 3/4 of a second from the front runners, who by now are also catching Gil Gawk, who's going to move up high to let them through.
Now you got to be really patient with these tires coming off the pits here. I'm going to meet up with the leaders here, and they potentially could put me down a lap here, but you really got to baby it off these corners coming off here. Because if you don't, the transition is so slick you can spin out here.
There's also a very flat apron, too, compared to the corners, and a significantly tighter radius than that of Daytona. That makes it all very, very tricky. Out of pit road is Kozlowski. Just keep it on the apron for now. There's the field just flying by around his outside on the racing surface. And you are clear to move on up. And out of the draft immediately, too. That shows you just how much time you can lose on one green flag stop.
As long as I can catch or stay with them, which I highly doubt I'm going to be able to. The only good thing is the more they get racier, they're kind of light on fuel in the rear end of that car too. So that rear end can step out on them and they can get into a wreck. And this might play well for me.
10 laps remaining. This could potentially be an incredibly thrilling finish here. We'll just have to wait and see how this could play out. Gawk is once again moving up high to let these leaders through. Does not want to get in the way of this fight for the race lead here, especially at a track like this where anything can break loose. The two Johnsons have managed to close on in to the top three, so it is now a 5-car train for the race lead with Gil Gawk just kind of hanging back in the draft just behind. Kenny Powell, I have just noticed, has tumbled down the timing charts, and he had a connection issue 5 laps ago, excuse me. So he just now re-entered the facility. So there's one spot there that you won't be losing out. That is so unfortunate, though, for Kenny Powell.
Yeah, that pit stop, I mean, it really messed me up. But I do know that Chris Johnson, unless he's saved a dramatic amount of fuel, he's going to have to pit for fuel. I mean, what I'm praying for right now is that there's a wreck within the next 4 or 5 laps. If there is, this could play very well for me.
Rossi continues to log the laps away, but here comes Olsen with a big head of steam. But Olsen once again backs off because Paul Olsen knows how critical it can be to stay back and get yourself in the perfect run. The one place you do not want to be on the last lap is in the lead. Not until you're on the front straightaway, at least.
Yeah. You won't believe this. I just took not enough fuel to make it to the end.
Oh, you're joking. You did not take enough fuel to make it to the end. You're going to have to come down again?
No, I probably are going to be about 1/10 of a lap shy. So I'll probably coast across the start-finish line empty.
Oh, my gosh. So that was kind of what I was going to be wondering with the rest of the field here is if they came down to halfway, would they top it up all the way, or would they leave like just enough that they might coast across the line? Well,
that's exactly what I did, is just put enough just to coast around the line here, thinking that was going to benefit me. And it could play good if one of those, I mean, if they run out of gas, they've got enough of a lead in front of me right now that they can probably coast and take away the position. Plus, I'm a lap down at this present minute.
still amazes me the speeds that they reach here, because at this track, these cars do not run restrictor plates. Wayne Grossi pitting this time by. So the 7 car does not have enough fuel to make it to the end. He's going to be pitting here, coming to 5 laps to go. This is big news here. This will mean Paul Wilson will inherit the race lead. Does he have the fuel to make it to the end?
Well, if they don't have the fuel to make it to the end, I am going to be sitting in a beautiful position. I just have to preserve my fuel and not get more than, 10 seconds behind him here.
Just bringing forward. Olsen is ready for it. He goes up high, trying to keep out of Grossi's way. Grossi is going to be slow here off the corner. Hits that transitioning hard, back end twitches, but he is going to be good. Down to pit road he goes, over the line, and it looks like he also got to slow down just in time. 4 cars left in the lead train. Olsen leads. Does he have the fuel? More importantly, does Wachinski or Craig Johnson have the fuel as well? Chris Johnson, there's still a big question mark over that 48 car as well. Wayne Grossi, having led 11 laps today, is down to the lane. This is huge. This is honestly very huge news, concerning this field here. Here we go. Every single driver coming down the pit road. Nobody had enough fuel to make it. All the drivers are down to the lane. Kozlowski back on to the lead lap. And this could be a game changer. Well, Al, there's your chance. You gotta scurry.
Yeah, I just don't have enough fuel to put it to the floor here. I'll meet up with Wayne Grossi here, and me and him will be first and second, but he's got enough fuel to race for the win here. I just don't have enough fuel.
Greg Wyszynski sideways as he exited his box, nearly slammed the pit wall too, and Craig Johnson got the over-under. Craig Johnson to the lead for the first time tonight. With a great pit exit, he's out in front by some margin too. But did he just get a penalty there because he just hit the transitioning for the track? So Craig Johnson might just got a penalty for exiting pit road after getting the best pit exit of anybody today.
Well, I tell you, Paul Olsen took the lead of this thing, and he's got Wayne Grossi. Looks like he retains the lead by 0.4 of a second here.
Currently, Craig Johnson is in the lead, but we got to see if he needs to come down pit road again. We'll just have to wait and see. Coming to 3 laps to go here. The field very, very split up now. Johnson stays out. Looks like he managed to just barely get away with that. Wayne Grossi is going to be running down Craig Johnson, who will just be a sitting duck. And now Grossi is free to run this thing green to the end. Now the question is, can Wyszynski somehow reel him in? He's about 1.5, I want to say, seconds back. Yeah, just over 1.5 seconds back. These cars can have a draft of about up to 2 seconds. With 3 laps, I don't think that's enough to reel him in. They are, though, in a 3-car trade. Much better than a 2-car trade. Oh my gosh, this could get closer. They've already reeled in a 10th to those cars in front. Wyszynski still has a shot here as they are slowly but surely reeling in your top 2 with 2 laps remaining.
Yeah, only thing I can hope for is that they wreck. I am at 2 laps right now. Oh, these races don't go good for me. Either I run out of fuel or I blow up. No, and I don't.
Wyszynski is in the draft. Slowly reeling in Wayne Grossi. It's an excruciating process, but he is certainly getting there. Right now, Paul Olsen and Chris Johnson have wanted to do nothing more than help him because they know if they help out Wyszynski, they have just as much of a shot at going for the win as he does. They're within 0.8 of a second now. They are continuing to tumble it down. 0.75 of a second, 0.7, 0.65, 0.6. They will have a shot for the win. White flag is in the air. Wayne Grossi, can he reel in Craig Johnson to take the race lead? It is crunch time. Wyszynski goes high, trying to get the run, trying to drive it up the corner here. Through turns 1 and 2 for the 3-mile speedway for the final time today. Wyszynski's got a massive run. He's going to go high around Wayne Grossi, trying to get to the second position. Can he go for the race lead? Craig Johnson moves up high, tries to block. Greg Wyszynski continues to push the issue around the outside line, back straightaway, final time today, run down to turns 3 and 4, side by side for the race lead to the final corners of the speedway. Greg Johnson still has a shot here. If he can pull ahead, he might be able to get this one done. Greg Johnson clear off of turn number 4. Wayne Grossi can't get there in time, neither can Wyszynski. Greg Johnson is going to take the victory here at iRacing Super Speedway for the iRacing 180. Round 3 goes to the 83 machine.
Fantastic run for Craig. That's a good job right there. And I'm out of fuel. Good job, Craig. 83 takes the win. Looks like Wayne Grossi's in second. Greg Wyszynski's in third. Great run.
A photo finish for the second position. Wayne Grossi comes out on top of that one. 0.09 of a second in front of Greg Wyszynski. Oh my goodness. What a run for all the drivers in this field. Everybody has crossed the line. Let's take a rundown at your post-race results. Craig Johnson takes victory with Wayne Grossi in the second position. Greg Wyszynski rounds on the podium. Chris Johnson is fourth. Olsen is fifth. Al Kozlowski is in the sixth position. Gil Gok, the first car down by a lap, is in seventh. Kenny Powell 6 laps down in eighth. Brian Johnson not finishing the race, 37 laps behind the field. Race is complete. Let's take another quick step away. We will be right back with
ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing.
Get yours today at thebuttkicker.com and be sure to use our 20% discount promo code ISCA20.
Welcome back to the iRacing Super Speedway, the melee for the 9-car competitive field we had tonight. And congratulations to our winners. Let's see if we can get a hold of third place, that number 2 car, Greg Wachinski. Greg Wachinski, Al Kozlowski, you got a copy?
Yes, sir. Here.
Greg, welcome to Victory Lane, a podium position, my friend. Congratulations on third place finish tonight. How did you feel this race went for you?
Nerve-wracking race, Al. You know, it's kind of crazy out there.
Well, from my seat, 7 seconds back because I don't know how to get gas. It looked pretty good. I heard Nolan getting excited up there, and I'm looking at the finish, and it looks like it was 2/10 from first to third. That is a phenomenal finish. Great job on that third place, Greg. What did you when you came out for fuel? The track gets a little slick there. Did you notice that?
Oh, definitely. It was everybody was getting loose coming off the pit road there.
We get a good position coming out, and I thought for certain that everybody was going to be able to make it to the end. Did you think you were going to be able to make it to the end back there drafting, or did you know you didn't have enough fuel?
I was trying to save fuel as much as I could, but I was like a gallon short, so there was nothing. Nobody could make it.
That's where I was sitting, my friend. That's where I was sitting. But you did much better than me, finishing third. Congratulations. You got any sponsors you want to thank tonight, Greg?
All my G&G pals out there. Paul, if it hadn't been for Paul, I probably wouldn't have gotten a third, so he gave me a little push there at the end. So thanks to all those guys.
Definitely helps to have a friend in the field, doesn't it?
It does.
Well, congratulations, Greg. Welcome to the podium, third place position. Let's see if we can get a hold of second place, Wayne Grossi, the number 7. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Wayne, you had that lead for a minute there, and you pitted. I thought you had enough fuel to make it to the end. I probably let you by and was trying to let you eat up some of your fuel, and I thought for certain you had enough to the end. Were you still like the rest of us, about a gallon shy?
Yeah, I figured I was 2 laps short in the end.
Your strategy coming into this thing, I mean, obviously the leader eats up the most fuel, and I think that's kind of why Chris Johnson gave it up, and I took it, but I didn't want to stay up there. Was it a strategy to lead this thing or to lead it at the end?
I held back at the beginning. I intentionally didn't qualify, and I started in the back. I had some bad experiences all week in the open rooms. I know you did too. I just wanted to survive because I know I had a good car. And anyway, I just took care of it, and happy with second place.
Well, yeah, you definitely have to be trusting your competitors. I mean, I like to kind of draft off them in the corners, but if they get drifting up on you, you take you out. And it was kind of a hectic race like this Super Speedway. This is 3 miles. It's like a stretched out Daytona and Talladega. And there really is a good draft you can get off of it, but you have to know how to use it.
I've never really liked this track. It's just too dangerous in the corners. All it takes is for one driver to hit the apron and then disaster. So I just wanted to survive this thing, and just happy to come home where I did.
Well, you certainly did, and this is the first time we get to talk to you and congratulate you. Congratulations on that second place, Wayne. You got any sponsors you want to thank tonight?
Yeah, my team, WG Racing, and all the guys at WG Racing. Gil Gawk is great help with. He's a crew chief and is great at the setups. And I've got Bobby Terrell on our team also. He doesn't race here, but he helps with setups also. And just thanks to everybody on the team.
Well, Wayne, we need to get some of your companion friends over here racing in this league so we can get this field a little bit bigger next time. But congratulations on that second place.
Well,
let's see if we can get a hold of the uncle of Brian Johnson and Chris Johnson, Mr. Craig Johnson, our winner tonight in the 83 car. Craig Johnson, you got a copy?
I do.
Well, Craig, rumor has it that you have this miracle setup going on, a new rig.
Man, I tell you what, I worked all day today to put this thing together, and it's a 3 degree of freedom setup, and I hadn't even ran any laps at this track here. This was the first time today, and buddy, I'm telling you what, this thing just about beat me to death.
Well, I bet you're looking like the Joker right now, grinning ear to ear, aren't you?
Oh man, it feels great. I really didn't expect it. I mean, that last pit was just definitely the call of the race. They just enough gas to get me across the line, you know, and about blew it coming off the pit road. The tires wore out, and it tried to wash up into the track there on the exit, but I didn't get a black flag. I don't know how I didn't.
It's definitely rough coming off of there. You got these tires get hot, and I didn't take during the first caution I took tires, but after that I didn't take any tires. And once you get the temperatures built up in these things, it's like driving on Jello.
Oh yeah, and I tell you what, the track does have problems, but man, when you win, you know the track is great. You know what I mean?
Craig, this is a perfect opportunity to kind of talk to the nephews and maybe give a little poke at them, because I think one of your nephews finished in fourth, and the other one finished dead last. You got anything you want to add to that for them?
Well, I got started in this iRacing jump back in, I don't know, what was it, 2008, 2007, something like that, and got Brian involved, and it didn't take long before Brian was showing me how to race, and then Chris come along a couple years later, and those two fellas, they really know how to wheel a car. It's hard for me to keep up with them, but I kind of like running in the back and watching them race and getting a view that I get most every week. So there's nothing that I can teach those fellas. They just got it in them, and they're good racers and they're good people. Good, fun to be around, no doubt.
Well, partner, it looks like you taught them a trick or two tonight. Congratulations on that victory lane. That puts you probably up there a little bit higher. And welcome to a win on the ISCA ButtKicker.
Well, I tell you what, it feels good. It feels great.
Right out that high, buddy. What about some sponsors? You want to thank anybody besides your nephews for helping you get here?
Well, I have to thank Sim Experience for selling me these piece parts and cut me some pretty good deals there. ButtKicker, of course. You can't run these races without a ButtKicker, and of course my primary sponsor, Southern Spiral Pipe, Noonan, Georgia. But besides that, man, this is a great league. If there's someone out there watching and listening, jump right in here. We could use some more competition, and it's a great group of guys to race with.
We sure do have fun, and I enjoyed racing with you guys tonight, and we look forward to next week as we come back in and we do this all over again. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we are at Martinsville next week. Nolan?
Here we are, 250 laps around, what is now the second fastest paperclip in the world.
Yeah, 3-mile track here is something to left to imagine. I'll be glad when this week is over, I'll tell you that much, because this is an addicting track. You feel like you can do miracles here, and one small move and you're wrecking. So congratulations once again to our 83 car driver, Craig Johnson, and 7 of Wayne Grassi, and 2 of Greg Wachinski. And we're going to say goodbye to iRacing Super Speedway. Until next week,